for giving us those details. It's a top focus we'll track. I'm also getting more details and breaking news that's coming in, and I'm going to go straight across to the breaking news that's coming in. Volodymyr Zelenskyy, Ukrainian president, has now tweeted. The president of Ukraine has said, and I'm quoting now, he has spoken to Prime Minister Modi. He says, we discussed in detail all important issues, both of our bilateral cooperation and the overall diplomatic situation. I am grateful for the Prime Minister Modi, for his warm words of support for our people. I have informed him about the Russian attacks on our cities and villages, about yesterday's strike on the bus station. Dozens of people were injured. Russian bombing in a regular urban facility. And this at a time when there's finally a diplomatic possibility to end the war. President of Ukraine, Zelenskyy, says instead of demonstrating readiness for a ceasefire, Russia is showing only its desire to continue the occupation and killings. He's speaking against Russia to Prime Minister Modi. He also says it is important India is supporting our peace efforts and shares the position everything concerning Ukraine must be decided with Ukraine's participation. Other formats will not deliver results. We also discussed. All right, Abhishek is joining us on the phone line, senior executive editor. Abhishek, in a great detailed tweet, President of Ukraine, Zelenskyy, now details out that they've discussed details for sanctions against Russia. They've also spoken about necessity to limit the export of Russian energy, particularly oil, and they've agreed to plan a personal meeting in September during the General Assembly of the United Nations. What is the particular significance of this telephonic conversation between Prime Minister Modi and Volodymyr Zelenskyy?
Well, the most significant aspect of this conversation is acknowledgement of the fact that India has a role in Russia-Ukraine talks. So while we will have President Trump crowing about it whenever the ceasefire happens, the fact of the matter is that Narendra Modi is one of the few world leaders who has, connections with both the sides, Russia and Ukraine. And President Zelenskyy, through this post, is actually acknowledging the leverage that Prime Minister Modi has with President Putin, and the fact that he has been engaging with both the sides. Having said that, unfortunately for the Ukrainians, President Zelenskyy is a nowhere man. Remember, about 10 or 15 days back, he was in support of American tariffs on India. He was panning India for buying Russian oil, something which finds mention in his post about in the conversation that he has had with Prime Minister Modi. But the fact of the matter is that while panning India, he also acknowledges that he's in a situation where Donald Trump has effectively given him a fait accompli, that he has to swap territories and that he has to agree to give up Ukrainian claims over Donbas republics, for example, and also Crimea. So I think it's not an easy situation to be in the shoes of Volodymyr Zelenskyy, and he's trying to really create a patchwork quilt of some kind of support. And having panned India just about a fortnight back rhythm to now elicit support just shows a grudging acceptance of the fact that Prime Minister Modi happens to be one of the few world leaders who have connections with both the sides and who has leverage with both the sides. And that's why I think he made this call to plead with Prime Minister Modi that he should prevail upon President Putin to slow down and to agree for a basic ceasefire pending the talks that are slated to take place later this week between the two presidents, Trump and Putin, in Alaska in the United States. So I think this is essentially a desperate attempt by President Zelenskyy rhythm to push for some role for Ukraine on the table. Remember, while they are not on the table, they are not at the table. Ukraine seems to be at the table for Trump and Putin to discuss, minus Zelenskyy, and that's something which I think is making him desperate. And the phone call is an example of how, despite panning India and not making very right diplomatic noises on Trump's tariffs on India, he's now seeking India's help in support of Ukraine.
And Abhishek, just one point more. You've also said that Zelenskyy has also acknowledged India's role in the talks because he knows Prime Minister Modi has a certain coordination and a strategic understanding with Russia.
Well, you see, the fact of the matter is that Prime Minister Modi is someone who has sat in front of Vladimir Putin and looked in his eyes and said that this is not an era of war. Something which, nobody, including President Trump, has done. So they speak from distance, they speak on telephone, but not sitting face to face with the President Putin. And that's something what Prime Minister Modi has done. And that's something which is repeated in the phone call that has taken place just a while back. And Prime Minister Modi in that conversation has underscored the need for a peaceful settlement to the conflict going on in Europe and between Russia and Ukraine, and whatever can be done from the side of India. Prime Minister said that he will convey to the Russian side and to President Putin personally. Remember, Prime Minister has had a call with President Putin just a couple of days back. And now I think this call happening clearly suggests that there must have been some communication to and fro. And I think this is a message, as I said, Rhythm, that while President Trump would crow a lot about his role in getting the two sides together, the fact of the matter is that very quietly and behind the scenes, India has had a long-sustaining, durable role in communicating between the Russians and the Ukrainians what needs to be done to quickly wind down the war.
That's right. Thank you, Abhishek, for giving us that perspective. It's a focus we'll continue tracking. The Prime Minister has leverage with Russia. It's very clear Ukrainian